Hello, welcome to the Everything NYJ Podcast. As you can tell, I am riding by myself tonight. Gino is out trick-or-treating or something, who knows? He's not around today. Um, Rumor has it he's wearing a special costume, so guys look out for that on all social media platforms. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just joking with you guys. What's going on, everybody? I am your host tonight, Liam. Uh, Normally I'm joined by Gino, but riding solo tonight. So I figured that we could try something new, right? I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know if you guys are gonna comply or not, but I am going to post the link right now into the chat. If I could do so. There we go. It's going in there. If you guys would like to join me, all you have to do is hit that chat, hit that link, and you guys can come on, talk some Jets. What do you guys want to talk about? Jets, Zach Wilson, JFM, Elijah Moore, Patriots, whatever you guys want to talk about, because this is the Jets Patriots review reaction video. Obviously, the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick continue to be the New York Jets' kryptonite. We have now lost to them a total of 13 straight times, and the Jets lose 22-17. Obviously on paper it looks like a close score, but the score really it wasn't a game. It really wasn't. Um, Defense really kept us in this game, but other than that, guys, I mean, it was ugly. It was downright ugly from these New York Jets. Um, let's get into it. But before we get into it, actually, I'm skipping ahead. Before we get into it, I just wanted to mention that you guys could follow us on all social media platforms at Everything NYJ, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube. If you guys enjoy being here, hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. Um, if you guys want to subscribe to the channel, that hasn't hurt anybody. Definitely go ahead and do so. Turn the notifications on. Definitely, because we have daily New York Jets content. So definitely you want to stay tuned for that. But yeah, man, so Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots continue to own the New York Jets. I guess we can start on the offensive side of the ball, right? Zach Wilson, oh my God. To, of all weeks to have a bad game, to it had to be this one. Zach Wilson was 20 for 41, 355 yards, two touchdowns, and three interceptions, right? So Zach Wilson threw the ball for 41 times. That's a lot. A lot of people can argue that we abandoned the running game a little too early. We only had about 15 running plays. I agree. I think it was way too early to be completely honest with you. But hey, is everybody happy now? Zach Wilson finally had his 300 plus yard passing game, right? So that's a plus, I guess. Two touchdowns and three interceptions, right? And let's be honest. Twitter, well, Jets Twitter is in an uproar right now, right? This fan base is divided. It really is. Some of us love Zach Wilson, and they're saying, "Oh, it's one game. He's still young. He's still developing. It's only his 18th game or 19th game or somewhere up there, and everything's gonna be all right." And then you have the other portion of the fan base saying, "You know what? No, we need to trade Zach Wilson. We need to cut him. We need to go sign a veteran right now. Zach Wilson is not the guy. Zach Wilson will not be on the team next year. You need to bring somebody else in, right?" So this fan base is just ripped to shreds, right? And obviously, we were on a four-game winning streak. And mind you, guys, we are still 5-3. That's not terrible. If you told me that we were going to be 5-3 going into November, I would take that. I think we all would. And this was a bad game, yes. And I'm not defending the New York Jets for playing poorly at all. But it seems like it's the way they lost that's pissing this fan base off, right? I really think it's the way that they lost because it wasn't competitive really in the fourth quarter. I mean, we had chances, we had opportunities, and we couldn't capitalize. This didn't really come down to the wire where it's like, oh, if the Jets had 2 more minutes, then things would have been different. No, the New York Jets were a train wreck out there. They had their bright spots. They did. I'm not saying it's all bad. We're gonna break it all down. But it seems like when the New York Jets lose, they lose bad. They lose poorly. They look in, they don't look like a competent football team. Like I don't even know what to say. Like when the New York Jets lose, it is not good. It's disgusting. It's ugly. Um, Zach Wilson, he made a lot of terrible plays. He looked lost. He looked scared. He looked confused. he was leaving the pocket way too early because I don't think he'd really trust the offensive line. I really think that's what it comes down to. And it looks now like Zach Wilson is afraid to get hit. He's afraid to get sacked, which obviously you don't want to see Zach Wilson get injured, right? I think we all understand that. A little bit of an interesting point though. Speaking on the Zach Wilson injury, and this is a little fishy to me. You guys let me know what you guys think. So the New York Jets, Robert Saleh has activated Mike White to QB2 over Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is now quarterback 3. Reason being, if Zach Wilson, knock on wood, gets injured, then Mike White will come in because they trust Mike White. Mike White had that breakout game actually on Halloween last year against the Cincinnati Bengals. I was at that game. Hands down, my favorite Jet game that I was ever at. I loved that game. It was so much fun. But yeah, they're saying that they trust Mike White if Zach Wilson goes down because they want to know what they have in Mike White. They believe in him and he's young and he's explosive. You know, they said this is not a knock on Joe Flacco. We all love Joe. Joe's a veteran. That's what they were all saying. I personally could give a shit less about Joe Flacco. I really could care less. I don't want to see him ever in a New York Jets uniform again, right? That's just putting that out there. It's like the timing of this is very sketchy to me. Like why all of a sudden do they want to see what they have in Mike White? Like we could have used him weeks 1, 2, and 3. We could have used him against Baltimore. We could have used him against Cleveland. We could have used him against Cincinnati. But instead they chose to ride with Joe Flacco. And there was plenty of times. Me and Gino, we were at week 1. We were at the home opener against the Ravens. And we were chanting for Mike White to come into the game because Joe Flacco was just playing disgusting, right? So it just seems like a little odd to me that all of a sudden they want to bring in Mike White. Hello, Abby. How are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure to have you here in the chat. Not saying you have to, but the link is in the chat if you want to come on, talk some Jets with me. That's cool. If not, I understand. Just putting it out there. But yeah, so right now we're talking about Mike White, and it's just strange to me that all of a sudden they want to throw Mike White in there, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it almost makes me want to believe that if Zach Wilson looks like he's incompetent again against Buffalo next week, Robert Saleh goes, you know what? He's like, your knee's hurting you today, or your hands hurt, something, you're not feeling right. I think you should sit this one out, pull him at halftime, whatever, give Mike White the start. Because the New York Jets, they want to win. Right? And a lot of the fan base is saying that Zach Wilson is holding them back. There's a case to be made for that. That's a fair argument. I'm not arguing that. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, that Robert Saleh does do that. I don't know if they're going to. But it seems a little fishy that all of a sudden they want to see what Mike White is. And like I said, Joe Flacco played very poorly. Even against that Cleveland game that he won. That was just a miracle. And I just think, it just makes me wonder why now? Why now are we making this change with Mike White? Do they want to trade him by the deadline? Is that what it is? So they're trying to up his value and say, oh no, Mike White is great. I don't know. It just feels like there's more to the story than just, oh yeah, we want to see what Mike White is. Knock on wood, Zach Wilson gets injured. Also, Chris Streveler was active yesterday. He was activated. A lot of people were expecting to see him a little bit, maybe not getting like a ton of reps, maybe like a wildcat play here or there, something like that. That's kind of what I was expecting. Like, let's see what he can do. I don't know. It just seems weird, like the QB carousel right now. It just seems to be a little bit odd to me. That's all. But getting back to the main thing here, Zach Wilson. Robert Saleh often says one game does not define a player's career. I agree with that, because I'm not defending Zach at all. I've defended Zach Wilson in the past. I've been accused of being a Zach Wilson apologist in the past. And it's just, you can't defend this. You really can't defend this. I've often said, Zach Wilson, he's scared. He doesn't have time with his offensive line. They're not protecting him, so he's scrambling. But yesterday, it looked like Zach Wilson was just running for his life. It looks like he was just hiking the ball, taking the snap, and then just darting out to the side. And a lot of times you could argue that's where he's most comfortable. But it just looked like Zach Wilson does not trust his offensive line. And it makes it harder for his offensive line when, they're expecting him to stand in the pocket and he's running all over the field. They don't really know where to block sometimes. So it kind of leaves them It doesn't give them the best chance to succeed either. So I think it's just a failing method. But Zach Wilson, he does tend to make plays when he rolls out to his right. So it could be weighed 50-50 here, right? But he had a couple nice throws. He had that one big throw to Garrett Wilson. He had a couple ones to Conklin. Denzel Mims had like a nice 76 yards or something like that on 2 catches. He had the 2 touchdown passes to Tyler Conklin, and he was throwing the ball away a lot, right? Because he doesn't want to throw those interceptions. Because you could just tell Zach Wilson was scared yesterday. Zach Wilson was afraid to make a mistake, so he was throwing the ball away. But there was one specific play where he didn't throw it far enough away, and it was picked off. That was just one of 3 interceptions from Zach Wilson, and we were just going, "Oh my God! Like this guy's killing us. He's killing us, absolutely killing us." And he was pissed. Zach Wilson, you could tell by his press conference yesterday that he was obviously not happy with his performance, very upset with himself. But you're still seeing him kind of playing hero football. And I saw him overthrowing receivers yesterday. I saw him trying to take the checkdowns, and he's overthrowing Braxton Berrios. And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, there was a time, like, you could have argued that Zach Wilson should have been benched yesterday. And I even put on Twitter, bench Zach Wilson, because he's in over his head. He looked like he did last year. And it just seems like the New England Patriots always get the absolute best of Zach Wilson. They just pick this kid apart, and Zach Wilson forgets how to play football when he's going up against Bill Belichick. Like I said, he did a couple things right, but are you confident? Are you confident in Zach Wilson taking us to the promised land? Are you confident with Zach Wilson being under center for a playoff game when a game is on the line, when the season is on the line, under the bright lights? Do you trust Zach Wilson? You got to ask yourself honestly, because right now I don't, and I'm not going to sit here and bash Zach Wilson because I think he needs to play every game. You need to see what this kid is. You need to see what he can do. I'm not going to let one bad game define Zach Wilson. But the problem is, this is not one bad game. The problem is, winning is a deodorant. It cures everything. When you're winning, you can't really question anything. Oh, the Jets got the win. Zach Wilson was a big part of, now 4-1, which he has been, yes. But that's not to say that last week in Denver, he played a good game. And I made the argument last week in Denver that Zach Wilson had no protection. You could definitely tell that Elijah Vera Tucker is missed. You could definitely tell that Mekhi Becton is missed, that George Fant is missed, that Max Mitchell is missed. We're playing this makeshift offensive line. These guys have no chemistry together. Laken Tomlinson is a absolute disaster. He's really been a disappointment up to this point. Dwayne Brown, I think he had a much better game yesterday than he did the previous week in Denver, so that's a plus. But it just seems like, I don't know, man. Like, Zach Wilson needs to get his head out of his ass. I think he just needs to reevaluate himself. Just sit down, just take a deep breath, and I think he could really learn a thing from the whole Joe Cool mentality. Just take your time, dude. Relax. Run your offense. We were at home. We were supposed to have that home field advantage. And let me tell you, um, all the fans, they weren't in their seat by 12:30 like Robert Saleh asked. It's a lot of people to fit into the stadium before the game starts, right? You look out, even at like 105, 110, like after the game has already started, there's still fans coming in. Like MetLife Stadium, it is a disaster sometimes to get in. And then a lot of the fans' tickets, I'm hearing that their tickets weren't loading. It took some people up to 40, 45 minutes to even get their tickets to load to go into the stadium. So it's just, it's not ideal for any quarterback. It's not ideal for any team when that happens because MetLife should have been rocking a lot more than it was. And let me tell you, it was rocking. Even against Miami, this crowd was electric. What is Abby saying here? I don't think Zach will be anything special. I think he's a game manager at best, but he needs the run game. Um, I mean, we don't know what he's going to be, right? We've seen good Zach Wilson and we've seen bad Zach Wilson, but a common denominator has been, yes, Zach Wilson has been a game manager, and yes, you can definitely tell that Breece Hall was not in the backfield yesterday, right? And that's not a knock on Michael Carter. I think Michael Carter and even James Robinson, like when they were out there, they did a fantastic job. It just seems like once they started playing catch up football, the running game went out the window. And that's the problem. It's like the New York Jets need to play their game. You can't just be adjusting to whatever New England is doing. Let New England adjust to what you're doing. The problem with that was the New York Jets weren't doing much. And like, going back to like the fans and everything, like it was electric, don't get me wrong, but I think the New York Jets, I think Robert Saleh, I think they were expecting a lot more than what they saw, right? And then it was loud, yes, but once the tide started turning, that crowd just went silent. You could hear a pin drop in that place. Like it was dead silent. Abby here is now saying, I also think he needs a top-notch center. Yeah, that could be argued. I mean, McGovern, he's been serviceable. You can't really complain. McGovern hasn't been the biggest problem in this offensive line, but I could definitely see us taking a center in next year's draft at some point. I wanted Creed Humphreys a few years ago. It's just we were spoiled for all those years with Mawai and Nick Mangold, so anything less than that is considered a failure. I think Connor McGovern, I think he's serviceable. I don't think he's the biggest issue on this offensive line. I really don't think so. But the case could be made that we need a lot of help on the offensive line. Um, Elijah Moore, he seemed like he was inactive. I mean, he had he had one target, zero catches. And after the game, Elijah Moore, he made it very clear that he does not want to be here. They were asking him like, "What do you think about a trade?" They asked him specifically, "What is your chemistry with Zach Wilson?" And he goes, "I don't know because I don't get the ball." And it's like at this point, he doesn't feel like he's made a mistake, right? The kid legitimately wants out of here. That's what this comes down to. Elijah Moore does not want to be here, and I mean that's fine. We're not using him, so we might as well get something back from him. I don't want to see him on this field. I think you need to trade him because this is going to become a distraction. They found him yesterday, and like he could have said like I want to talk football. I don't want to talk about the trade or anything. They said, "Do you regret the trade?" He goes, "I regret going public with it, but there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys don't know about. There's a lot of stuff behind closed doors." And listen, I believe that. I really think that there is more to this story than we are realizing. I think there's a lot more that we know about. But at the same time, it's like the way he went about it was just terrible timing. He did it when the team was winning with the running game. We've discussed that. Me and Gino have gone over that. So I think it's just the way he went about it was terrible. Wait to the end of the season and just be like, listen, I don't think this is a good fit. I played a full season with you guys. I had very minimal targets. I think I need to try my luck somewhere else. And I think a lot of the Jets fans would have been like, all right, listen, dude, you're absolutely right. We didn't use you, or we misused you, whatever, however you want to say it. But need a little water break there. But yeah, overall, Denzel Mims, like I said, he looked pretty good. Garrett Wilson, he looked pretty good. Jeff Smith had a couple passes, thrown his way. But overall, we need to see a lot more from this offense. We need to be a high flying offense. Um, let's get to the defense, right? So the defense had 6 sacks, which Gino predicted 10. So Gino really wasn't far off, right? He was only 4 sacks off. Not bad. Those 6 sacks, they were coming from Quinnen Williams, Clemens, Lawson, JFM, Shepard, and Martin. The defensive line continues to play at a high level. The defense is keeping us in games when the offense is nowhere to be found. The defense is playing lights out. Quinnen Williams continues to have a breakout season, a Pro Bowl level season, and the defense has really been a big surprise. Look at where they won. Look at where they were week 1, week 2, compared to where they are now. It's like a night and day. We were all calling from Jeff Ulbricht's head, and now we like Jeff Ulbricht. Like Jeff Ulbricht's doing the right thing, and that's all we ask. Like I started the hashtag Fire Jeff Ulbricht. I did, but I think at the time it was warranted. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, it was warranted. But he's made adjustments. He's proving that he is deserving of a defensive coordinator job because his defense right now, they're playing lights out. JFM, oh my God, JFM with a terrible roughing the passer penalty. We all agree it was BS, and the penalty was called because apparently he hit Mac Jones way too hard. And listen, guys, it's football. It's not ballet. It's pathetic. It really is. Don't get me wrong, but you guys, he knows the rule. He's a professional. The rule sucks. We're not denying that the rule is a good rule. It sucks. It's terrible, and it's ruining football games. Listen, I'm all for player safety. I don't want to see players getting injured out there, whether it's a Patriot, a Dolphin, whoever. I don't want to see another human being getting injured where he can't come back in a football game. However, John Franklin Myers is a professional. He knows what the penalty he knows when they're going to call the penalty. And it seems like every week John Franklin Myers is having a bonehead penalty, and that penalty the New York Jets have not recovered from. That was a turning point in this game. And the Jets could have gone up 17-3 at halftime. But instead, because of this JFM penalty, it was 10-6 at halftime. New England gets the ball coming out of halftime, and you guys know the rest is history. Um, it's just it's every week with JFM. I mean, I'm not ready to call for his head or anything or say he needs to be benched, but he needs to do a lot better. He needs to play cleaner because JFM has racked up quite a few penalties this season with the New York Jets. Um, the corners, Sauce looked pretty good. He almost had an interception. You didn't really see much out of the Jets secondary. Quan Alexander, he was all right, whatever. C.J. Mosley, he was all right. He almost had a big interception. But I mean, it is what it is. The defense could only do so much. I mean, they say defense wins championships, which is true, but defense can't be doing everything. We haven't seen that complementary football. A couple weeks we have, but yesterday was not one of those weeks where we saw complementary football from the offense and the defense. And it seemed like the defense was picking up the offense more times than not. So we're gonna get into special teams here. Greg Zuerlein, Greg the Leg. Oh my God, he missed a field goal. He was 1 for 2 yesterday, and it's just if he makes that field goal, excuse me, it's 20-22. Maybe we could have worked some magic. Maybe we could have got another field goal and win 23-22. So it's like we left a lot of points on the field that we should have had. We didn't capitalize on opportunities on offense and defense. There was plenty of times where we should have gotten the ball back, or we should have had a big stop, and we should have ran the ball and got something. Whatever scenario you want to say, right? The fact is, we did not. Man, he looked terrible. I mean, Braden Mann did not have a good game yesterday, and overall, he's been pretty well. So it was just one of those games, man. It's like with the New York Jets, I say it all the time: when it rains, it pours. When it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's good. It's just this game was it's the way they lost. Like I said, it really is. It's just Zach Wilson had his big 300+ yard passing game, but nobody gives a shit about that, considering the way they played. And now things are not going to get any easier. The Jets are heading to Buffalo's heading to us, but the New York Jets are going to be playing the best team in the NFL, hands down. And what kind of offense are we going to see? What kind of Zach Wilson are we going to see? Are we going to see Zach Wilson looking more demoralized? Because yesterday did not help his case. How bad he looked yesterday, I don't expect him to look any better this Sunday against Buffalo. Abby has another comment here. Jets fans didn't like Zach's performance, but Braden Mann was worse. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Braden Mann, you only see a sample size of him because, he's only on the field every couple plays. Zach Wilson is on the field every offensive snap. So we see a lot more of Zach Wilson than we do of Braden Mann. But yes, it just seems like overall the New York Jets did not look like the 5-3 New York Jets or the 4-2 going into this game New York Jets. They didn't look like the team that blew out Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, although the Packers are a struggling team. They didn't look like the team that overcame adversity last week in Denver and pulled out the win. They didn't look like the team, or even the Zach Wilson in the fourth quarter of the Pittsburgh game that rallied and we won the game. And mind you, the New York Jets are the best fourth quarter team in the NFL. Excuse me. And a lot of us had faith going into the fourth quarter, like, all right, this is a time where the New York Jets are going to turn on the Jets, and we're going to pull out with the victory. It's going to be ugly. And I would have been fine with an ugly victory. I think I would still be here today having the same conversation about Zach Wilson. Maybe not to this extent if he had rallied and we got in the win. But listen, it's like we knew that this winning streak was going to end. It wasn't going to last forever. We weren't going to win out the season. Like, let's be real. We weren't going to go 14-2. It wasn't possible. It's just the way that they lost. Like I said, it's just Zach Wilson. This is the worst game he's had since his rookie year, possibly since the home opener last year when Zach Wilson was injured and the New York Jets lost 13-54 against, you guessed it, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. It's just it's ugly, man. It's really ugly. It's um going against Buffalo. It's not going to get any easier. I'm going to be at that game. Me and my girlfriend. She's a Buffalo fan, so be nice to her. She's a sweet girl. I promise you. She's not a bit. She's not bad. But so I think this is going to wrap it up for the Everything NYJ podcast. I think we went over everything. The Jets lose to the Patriots 22-17. It was a heartbreaking loss. The New York Jets are now 5-3. Not terrible. We have Buffalo next week. Probably going to be a loss, but you never know. But right now I'm predicting a loss. So that leaves us at 5-4. We have the bye week. We have to get things figured out at the bye week. And historically, the New York Jets coming out of the bye week do not play well. And not only that, coming out of the bye week, the New York Jets have the New England Patriots again, which this could be a good thing. It could be instant revenge. But this was supposed to be a revenge game. Everybody's saying this is Zach's revenge game. This is Salah's revenge game. And they didn't even look confident. So going into Foxborough, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge. Abby with another comment here. That pick six that got called back still stings. Yes, it does. Michael Carter, I forgot to mention this. Michael Carter had a huge pick six, ran it into the end zone. Next thing you know, it gets called back, and that was another change of the game. Like, that was just more points that we left on the field there. And it's like the New York Jets had chances to win this game. That's what really pissed me off, because the Jets could have won this game. Zach Wilson threw 3 interceptions and it was a one-score game. So that's a positive. You could look at it that way. The New York Jets offense played terrible and it was a one-score game. So could they beat the New England Patriots? Yes. Heading into Foxborough, and the New York Jets, they got to be kind of scared. I hope that they're not, but knowing these New York Jets, they probably are. And listen, it's a young team. Like I said, they're going to make their mistakes. It's just the way that they lost that really irks us. Abby says, I think Zach plays good against Buffalo. We probably win that game. Oh, I don't know, Abby. That's tough. I don't know if I could agree with you on that one. Right now, I'm going to say the Jets go to 4-4, come out of the bye. Do they beat the Patriots in Foxborough after yesterday's performance? I don't think they can. I have no faith in that game. And that's a receipt. I hope I'm wrong about that, because I want to see the New York Jets finally beat the New England Patriots. But the way I'm looking at it, the New York Jets are going to be 5-5 coming off that New England game right after the bye. On top of that, the pick six flag was late. Yes, it was. The officiating was once again terrible, as that seems to be a trend. The New York Jets get no favors from these referees. It's a shame, but it is what it is. All right, so later in the week, I actually have a wedding Friday night, so I will not be doing a video Friday night. I don't know if Gino's going to. I don't think so. Gino's not going to. I think Gino's going to be on tomorrow at Jets Chaos. He will not be on Wednesday. It's just been a weird week. Me and Gino both have stuff going on, so it's just a little weird. But I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a half hour. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Jets Patriots recap review video. If you guys haven't done so already, give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys for all your comments. Abby, thank you for your comments. Follow us on all social media platforms at Everything NYJ. Have a safe night. Go Jets. Happy Halloween.